Hey guys, Greg here. Today another video build guide for the Charge Paladin using a big fork, the Uldyssian Awakening spear. So I'll start off with that because that item was changed in the last patch, buffed quite heavily. The old version looked at like this. The main differences are the minus 10% life, the minimum damage based on energy, which is doubled on the updated version, and the 55 damage taken gain as mana, which was removed. But that doesn't really matter. It's not a really good stat for this build. I'll get into it. And yeah, you got Amazon skills on there, but we'll be using it on a pally. For anyone that doesn't know how Energy Shield works, I've got a video in the description explaining the mechanics of it. It's a bit complicated. It takes a bit of time to figure out how it works. But long story short, it takes unmitigated damage. Like, let's say you get hit with 1000 physical damage. And that's the first layer of defense. It's gonna get absorbed to your mana pool right away, without that 1000 damage being reduced by resist or PDR or stuff like that. So if you take 1000 damage, I think at level 30 in PD2, it's about 78% absorbed. So 78% of that damage gonna be absorbed by your mana directly. And then the rest is gonna get reduced by your PDR, your resist, or whatever, and gonna get applied to your life pool. That's really simplified there. There's a whole calculation going in there on that video if you're interested. Really, it's based in D2R, but it's the same mechanic in PD2. I think, pretty sure. Yeah, we'll be using that weapon. It has pretty good damage now. And this is like an on-slam non-et version. Right now, that's only on the add on Pluggy. Looking at 12k to 20k damage. And you can see on the top end there it goes to 35, double the damage basically with the a pretty modest one with the 2 open sockets there. It could be better. So that's the weapon we'll be using. It's a good layer of defense. It makes you think differently about your defenses, basically. So with that off the way, we'll just get into the skills. So having a fork as a weapon, which is not a sword and doesn't have a shield, so you don't need any points in those. We'll be using charge, so charge with the synergies, which is vigor and might. Might and vigor. And 1 point in joust. You could use more points at joust if you want to lower the cooldown, but I feel like it's not too bad right now. It's the cooldown I have right now. I decided instead to invest in the passives. You have a lot of points remaining, so you can invest in the resist fire, resist cold, resist lightning for the max res. And I also invested 20 points in the cleansing for the passive burst length and poison length reduction, which paired with other items can give you to the 75 cap really easily. We're talking one item usually. But that's it for the skills. Depending on your strength setup, the spear requires quite a lot of dexterity, so you need to invest in dexterity. Lowering that with minus rec jewels with ED, a better weapon will lower it quite heavily, so you could remove a bit of dex. But having a lot of dex gives you a lot of AR, so frees you a bit of space on the AR side on the gear. So yeah, so minimum strength required for your gear, minimum dex for your weapon, nothing in vitality, everything in energy. So as you can see, it's 1-1. I got 357 energy, and the minimum damage is 357 on the weapon. So the minimum damage is not just art points, it's any energy on your gear and everything like that will add to that damage. So that's it for the stats. For the gear, that character is super fun to build around. Lots of gear choices, so I'll get into some of it. So for body armor, quite simple. Big ED. I invested in these in the armor slot, which either is fortitude or a crafted safety armor with a lot of enhanced damage. Or a fortitude. Cheap and efficient. One point I'll just point out before talking about more of the gear. We're using a Act 5 Merc with Fanatism. So having Fanatism and Charge, the weapon has 40 increase attack speed. So to reach the 8 frames, you need 6 extra IS on your gear somewhere. Reach that breakpoint, and the other one, oops, sorry, where am I facing the way? A little bit. So yeah, 48, 46. And the other one is quite steep at 125. If you want to reach it, that's possible, but it'll require a lot of investing in your, like a 6-socket Uldyssian spear, and maybe some other piece on your gear. But it could be reach. Not that hard. I don't think that hard. But as a baseline for this, just need 6 IAS on my gear to reach the 8 frames. So that's what I went with in this example. Like on this armor, I had 15 attack speed. You use that to reach the extra breakpoint. Okay, so yeah, so the armor slot is done. Helmets. Vampire Gaze, crazy helmet for this build. Huge PDR, and the dual leech is really good on this build because you're using both your mana and your life pool as a survival resource. So this is just a bad slam, low-ish Vamp Gaze. Be a lot better. Could have 3 sockets, you know. This character is not fully optimized, it's just pluggy stuff I put together. Yeah, so you could use either Crown of Ages for the curse duration and the all res and the PDR. Really popular helmet, really good helmet. Requires lots more strength. And you could have some minus Rick jewels in there to help out with the steep strength. But this paired with the passive cleansing, that's 70% right there, so just 5% off the cap. So just with this, almost at the cap of curse resist, if that's something you want to aim for. It's pretty good. I like it. Veil of Steel for more offensive option. Get the huge damage, get the good resistance, good stats, good defense. Good helmet as well, it's another option. Put my face back. Longs. There you go. Sorry about that. The Crown of Ages I was talking about. Yeah, so that's the three options I'll put out there for helmets. Moving on to let's do the gloves. I don't think there's all that much options on there because Soul Drainers is so good with the Pierce and the dual leech. for this build. I put Occultist in there because of the increased mana and the curse duration. Reach the cap. You could use that. Having the extra mana is not bad. This thing requires lots of strength too, so. But it's an option to get your mana up. You don't need all that much extra mana. All the energy you're investing and just base mana on the weapon. Having over 2k is pretty good. And since we're using battle order, we get even more from that. So I would recommend Soul Drainers over this, but it's an option. Moving on to the boots. Struggling a bit on res. This build, so and these pair have the nice bonus of having half freeze, so I can use half freeze on something else to get CBF. But this could be reached as a slam on the amulet, or a slam on the helmet, or a cham somewhere in the gear. But for this example, it's these boots, which are pretty freaking nice, to be honest. But other options are Silk Weaves for the mana. You get 150 mana. It's not much. Not recommended too much, but it's there. War Travs, if you have your res situation figured out. The flat 15-25 damage is pretty big on charge because the multiplier on the charge skill is really big. These values get multiplied quite a bit, so you get a lot of damage from them. You get MF, bunch of good stuff on there. Highly recommend War Travs. And Alders, special mention for the plus big flat life. Since your life pool is a bit low, Alders can get you there. Big fire resist. The 10% damage taken as mana. This stat is not good because it's recovers mana from damage taken from your health pool. So usually most of the damage you'll be taking is from your mana pool, so you're not gonna get the mana back. Or you get really minimal amounts of mana from the damage taken to your life pool, so disregard this disregard this stat. When you try to build this character, it doesn't do all that much. Belt. I'm using a crafted Brilliant belt, which has the half freeze and attack speed auto mod. So you get your little percentage you need to get your breakpoints on there, plus the half freeze. This belt is decent, could be better. You could have PDR on there. You could have more flat life, like 100 flat life on there. It's quite big, so huge opportunity on the belt craft for this. Other options are String of Ears for the Leech and the PDR. Since we're using Vamp Gaze, pretty much covered on the life, the Life Leech and the PDR. But you could use that for sure. But let's say you get PDR on your crafted belt, diminish the use of String of Ears. Same thing for rare belts. It's a bit of the same concept without the attack speed mod on there. That would be really great to, like, you know, the big strength, free us some space for having more energy, to have more minimum damage, stuff like that. So belt slot, really like the crafts or the rares. Or you can get Nos, or the attack speed I was talking about, a bit of Light Leech, more offensive side, a bit of Deadly Strike. It's an option, my least favorite one. On the amulet side, it's a bit crazy. On the amulet side, you can always go Maras if you need a res. You can go Harlords if you want to reach that higher breakpoint I was talking about, the 125. Get res on there, you get all skills. Decent. Middle grid if you're struggling with AR, which you shouldn't really be struggling with because you have a lot of dex invested. Charge has a decent attack percentage, and you're using Fanaticism Aura, and you get and you're using a Fanaticism Aura, so you should be good. The all res is really nice as well on there if you're struggling with res. Middle grid is an option. But the one I want to showcase is I think it's the Power Craft. So Powercraft, you get the fast rate recovery, you get the attack rating. So attack rating covers a bit the same role as the metal grid. But on top of that, you can get big strength, mana leech. Mana leech is huge on this build. And you can get all res as well on there, and you could get +2 skills. That's, imagine this amulet, but with plus skills instead of one of those stats. Would be really good. I think it's like a mix of a mix of Amaras and a mix of metal grid on an amulet. Big fan again of crafted amulets on this slot. Because this, like I said, it's not min-max, it's just a basic. It's a basic example. Alright, moving on to for rings. You can always go classic. If you don't have the half-freeze tech, you can always go Raven Frost, the CBF and attack rating. And dex requirements for your weapon. Raven Frost always good. Wisp, I'm going without Wisp because I'm okay on AR and the damage provided by the aura is not that crazy. I'd rather have something like this with high minimum damage, big mana for your mana pool, some AR, some life leech or mana leech. Dex, I think these rings are really nice. And they're usually tossed aside, you know, the mana ones or something with 15 energies, it's 15 minimum damage, right? So a lot of the rings that are not ever used or tossed away can be slotted in that build. I'm using a dual leech on the other ring, so I'm getting tons of leech. So every time I hit something back, everything goes back up to full life and mana. Life and mana goes up and down a little bit. But having the the dual leech and being able to hit hard and have just with one hit have your health and mana recovered is, I feel like, really good on this build. I have like a little plethora of amulets there, of rings. You could also use that's another crafted ring for the half freeze. You can get something like that for the tech, the half freeze tech. You see AR, life leech, strength, all res. Not the best ring, but it's an option as well. Really like the half freeze tech on this build instead of having the usual Raven Frost. Or something like this. Just big strength, big mana, big attack rating, big minimum damage. Lot of options on rings, really nice. And as for the charms, I'm using plus max, AR and life, and get any. Better than the combat skiller. I tried, I swapped them out. Had a set of combat skiller and the damage comes out better with the max damage. So using the max damage, Torch and Annie, and just trying to cap off your resist how you can with the charms. For the Merc, like I said, I'm using the Act 5 for the BO. And the option to get Fanatism on there. And Fanatism is really important now that you don't you have breakpoints to respec on the charge skills. Just a bunch of stuff to make him survive. That's it. So for the example of, you know, getting my life back instantly. That's how you do it. And another important point, so fast rate recovery. With energy shield, you don't really need fast rate recovery because you're never gonna get hit for a big chunk of your health pool. You're never gonna get chunked. You're gonna get chunked on your mana, but you're never gonna get chunked on your life. So usually, well, how it works, stun is like if you get hit for a certain amount of your health pool, you get stunned. But if you get just a small hit, you're just not gonna get stunned. So usually what's gonna happen is you're gonna get hit big on your mana pool and just a little bit on your life. So that's not enough usually to provoke a stun. So you don't need to invest that much in fast rate recovery. bad example there, but yeah. Another thing is look at is poison bypass the energy shield straight up, so poison resist could be better on this character. That would help for sure. So like, yeah, like I was saying, imagine just this weapon with the same minimum damage, 12k, probably going to 14k minimum damage, 14k to 35k. Pretty good damage, pretty consistent damage. It's really fun to be able to tech into having more minimum damage, especially on a spear, so usually they have quite a big range of min to max damage. Being consistent feels good. But yeah, I'll use the normal spear. I'll do a tier 1. Because, you know, I'm dealing basically half damage of a you know, a fully juiced up spear. Since you're using BO Merc, you can use a Demon Limb as a swap. Just fix up in your AR. Go for maps with non-skeleton maps because you're relying a lot on leech. So having you know, fleshy monsters to hit. Really recommend, because you cannot leech, it gets a bit rough. Just gonna get hit a bit there, that's what I'm saying. And it's going down, boom, knocked up. Didn't get stunned at all. All that mess. A lot of stuff, boom, back up. Full mana, full life. Just get quickly to the boss. That's what it all looks like. Even on the boss, teaching quite much, a lot. That's a nice one. Nice. Pretty nice. Alright, so that's it. So yeah, I did some tier 3s with the other version of the weapon. Which has more damage, but still has some of the downsides. With the max life and everything like that, and the less minimum damage. But it can do it pretty easily. So yeah, that's it. See you guys on Season 10. Thanks for watching. Like and sub for more. See you guys next time.